I'm John Ratzenberger. On this Made in America, we begin in Tacoma, Washington with a trip over, under, across, and around the Chihuly Bridge of Glass.
You can spend about 15-20 minutes just looking at each piece.
Then it's off to Bedford Park, Illinois, and a trip up, in a Hoist lift truck.
I see you're proud of the fact that it's made in the USA.
Absolutely.
I grew up in a manufacturing city. An appreciation for ingenuity has been in my blood ever since. Now I travel all over this country, searching for what Americans make great. And you know what? I find it everywhere. So sit back and relax, because we've got it made in America. Then stay tuned to see how Hoist lift trucks can, well, lift trucks if they want to. Coming up on Made in America, about the only thing you can't hoist in a Hoist lift truck is your own petard. There's a part in the classic novel Robinson Crusoe about how the shipwrecked protagonist finds a fallen tree that he thinks would make a canoe strong enough to carry him back to civilization. The poor guy spends months and months carving it out before realizing he has no way to get the heavy thing down to the shore. Too bad he didn't have a lift truck. At Hoist lift truck manufacturing, it's no big deal to lift 15,000 pounds, which is about 5 family sedans. Or for that matter, a dozen bull elephants, meaning 100,000 pounds. You'll find Hoist lift truck in the village of Bedford Park, Illinois, which is just southwest of the Chicago city limits. It's a good old-fashioned manufacturing town whose small residential area began as a housing subdivision for employees. Today, Bedford Park proudly hosts nearly 400 companies, one of them being Hoist. Hoist didn't begin in Bedford Park, though. It was founded in Brooklyn, New York, which even in 1918 was one of the world's busiest ports. So there was plenty of heavy lifting, which in those days was done mostly by cranes and winches. Hence the company name, Silent Hoist. Not till the 1930s and 40s did forklifts begin doing most of the heavy work. Fast forward to 1980, when entrepreneur Marty Flaska founded a company called Forklift Exchange. Operating at first out of his Chicagoland home, he sold used equipment and serviced forklifts. The company did so well that he soon bought Silent Hoist and began manufacturing lift machinery. The name he chose for his consolidated venture was Hoist Lift Truck.
This entire truck on the purchase parts is entirely sourced in North America. That's a strength that we have.
That's great. So you're not relying on a foreign country.
We're not.
What isn't bought from homegrown vendors is made on site.
When I first bought the business, I didn't believe I needed to be in the machining aspect of my business, and found out quickly we had cylinders coming in from Eastern Europe, and we had some failures of some pistons inside the cylinder. For that reason, we moved all of our production back here.
Marty expanded in the year 2000 when he bought Elwell Parker, another brand name in the forklift business.
Elwell Parker primarily made electric forklifts. Silent Hoist primarily made internal combustion forklifts. And so by putting them both together, they were both selling to the same customers.
While Hoist isn't exactly an empire, the sun never sets on a Hoist lift truck. Somewhere in the world, at any given moment, there are lift trucks made by Hoist doing something useful. And the company's 250 employees are rightfully proud of that.
I have that truck running in the Czech Republic, Russia, France, a lot of them in the UK. That's probably our most popular model for export.
Forklifts like the Hoist P and F series use diesel engines to power the pumps that generate hydraulic pressure. That pressure is forced into a lift cylinder in the mast that's attached to the lift carriage and forks. Hydraulic fluid floods the lift cylinder. Pressure raises the cylinder rod, and that lifts the carriage and forks, which of course hold the load. This is a competitive business, and customers will go elsewhere if Hoist doesn't, shall we say, keep up. For that, Hoist relies on engineers like Brian Wiltshire. He uses a 3D design program that simulates load conditions. And what he comes up with is actualized by fellow engineer Jacob Woodworth, who lays out cutting patterns to minimize waste in a process called nesting the steel. All they have to do now is build it. When we come back to Hoist lift trucks, the counterweight counters the weight so it doesn't run counter to either the hoist or the lift. Welcome back to Hoist lift trucks, where there's a truck capable of lifting nearly any load, including my friend 2-ton Oscar after Christmas dinner. The steel parts may be massive, but the tolerances are minute. And Hoist is stubbornly intolerant about them. This is Caliper City. Wojtek is setting up an axle support for milling.
Axle's gonna be mounted exactly, in those holes. Then wheel's gonna be mounted on the axles. So basically that was mounted like 90 degree.
Gotcha. Oh, that's solid. The plant is a beehive of activity. For instance, an outer mast that will support the lift carriage and fork blades is ready, while a chassis moves between welding stations by way of an overhead bridge crane that's controlled remotely. Pieces like the hydraulic pressure tank are welded to the chassis on a table capable of rotating 360 degrees so the welders can access areas in whatever posture they prefer. Jesse is one of the welders. It's a little bit different than yours, Jesse. You can fix that though, can't you?
Oh, yeah, I can fix it.
Okay. Anyway, it's time for lunch.
That's right.
The paint department uses heavy-duty, catalyzed polyurethane enamel. That's what's needed for the kind of abuse these trucks face every day. Of course, as any kid on a teeter-totter knows, weight without counterweight is a one-way ticket down. The steel counterweight shell is positioned on what's called a wheel abrader, and then retracted into what's called the shot blast chamber, where for 12 or 13 minutes, it'll have its mill scale and slag scoured off by bombarding pellets. And that's called ingenious. Now the counterweight shell meets the same fate as Billy the Kid, filled full of lead. In this case, it's scrap lead that's been melted at a tropical 800 degrees. John Chandler is Chief Operations Officer.
As a forklift lifts a weight, it has to have a counterweight in the back.
So if the back end's too light,
Turn the truck over. Whatever you're lifting on the front end, you have to have a counterbalance to the back end.
oh, look at it, there it goes.
And that's what we're doing. We're putting lead in the
So
back.
just straight lead, huh?
Just straight lead.
A lot of nickels in there.
Yes, sir.
Got to make sure there's enough junk in the trunk.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now it's time to assemble the pieces. Axles, masts, engines, trucks, cabs, electronics, and hydraulics. The only thing missing now is a driver. Normally, Al Paradella gets all the fun.
So far, it looks like a car. You got a clutch and a brake?
Yes, sir. And this is your up and down control.
Up
for
and
your
down for
mast.
the blades?
Yes.
And the horn?
The horn is right here.
Oh, yeah.
So what we need to do is stop.
Oopsie daisy.
Let's drop it here.
If you go too fast, it'll slam down. So